What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over an edge up, and culturally that's one of the most important parts of a haircut. We're going to show you how we went from the beginning of this video to what this looks like right here, and I will show you all the professional steps and walk you through them. So stay tuned. Here's an intro and we'll get right into it. So the first thing that we always want to do is prep the hair. So I'm brushing this down, and we're going to take our shaving cream to lay everything down. It's going to take out a bunch of the oils that are on your skin and in your hair. So the surfactants in the shaving cream, they grab much more dirt and grime and grease than just a regular soap. So we're going to put that on, wipe it off, and then we're going to remove the rest of it with an alcohol to dry everything out. So now that we got everything dried out and brushed down, we're gonna apply a holding spray. I use Gotta Be Glued as of right now, and I'm just kind of smushing the edges back down with the brush in my hand. And the next thing we're gonna do is not something I would recommend, but you will see in 1 second. So what I'm doing is adding a very light taper to the front of the haircut, just so that the transition from dark hair to skin will last a lot longer. So you won't have those long hairs kind of curling and hanging over your hairline as soon. So I would recommend doing this with a clipper with a guard on it, but the same principle applies. So we are going to draw in our C-cups with the corner of our trimmer. That's what we're doing. That's what this part of the edge up is called. This is your C-cup. We're going to do this C-cup with the corner of the trimmer and just make sure we're following that curve all the way around to the very front of the edge up, and then we'll repeat the process on the opposite side. Okay, so I slowed this part of the video down to show you me making a straight line across my forehead to make sure that the end of my bars in my C-cups, so that's the point where the bottom of the bar meets the top of the C-cup, that they're straight across, because we want our haircut and our hairline to always be symmetrical. Okay, so take a look at this. We're using our offhand to stretch the skin so that we can create enough space for the corner of the trimmer to go around the ear and behind the sideburn. So you really don't want to white wall yourself. That would be pushing this line up behind the ear and making your haircut look unprofessional. For the purpose of this video, I created an ash line at the edge of each C-cup so you can see how they're pointing towards each other, and then I can use that ash line as a guideline to make the front of the hairline straight. So since that's a straight line, we can just use that one as a reference to make sure that everything is even and straight. When you're working in the corners, you want to be really careful and make sure that your angle is not too wide, because you don't want those bars to swing out. You'd rather them come inward than swing out, because you can always take more hair off later, but you can't put it back if you cut it off on accident. So I'm brushing so much to make sure I don't have any loose hairs around that make the line look inconsistent. And then the next thing we're gonna do is just barely tap this corner in, because my hair grows a different direction on that side. So this is a corner that's gonna be enhanced, so we're barely cleaning it out. and just making sure they have the right shape. But we don't want to push it too much so that it looks thinner or like it's been pushed back more. So we're going right in with the microfibers and a business card right here, and I'll show you exactly why we're doing this in a minute. But right now, yeah, we're just making sure that we fill in the areas that we want a little bit darker with the microfibers. So right here, we're following up behind the microfibers with a color enhancement. So this is a semi-permanent hair dye that I'll show you how to mix in this video that we'll link right here. But in the meantime, we are just shaping around those C cups with that light color enhancement, and then we're just going to do the rest of the hairline and let that kind of dry. And also, don't be afraid to have a little bit of overspray, because you can remove the color enhancement before it fully dries with alcohol or even with the trimmers. So don't worry too much about being perfect. So if you remember from earlier, this is my corner that grows in a different direction. So what I was doing right there was just pushing those microfibers into the shape that I wanted them to show. So we don't want to cut off any more hairs that are growing in a direction directly away from my hairline, but we want to make sure that the fibers line up with it. So this is where I would have stopped if I didn't feel comfortable using a straight razor. So I recommend the same for you. If you don't feel comfortable using a straight razor, just clean up what you can on your forehead with a regular razor or some type of shaver. But what I'm gonna do is show you the next steps. So we're pulling this skin and just making sure it's taut. The same thing we would do with the client, like in the other videos. We're doing that and then just being really careful and taking our time, pushing everything back into the line with this razor. So we got it at about a 30-degree angle, and we're making sure that we're just removing all the hairs from around the hairline. So C cups, and then we're gonna do it straight across the front. Okay, wait a minute. So go and watch the end of the video if you don't feel comfortable using a straight razor, because we did the back side of the haircut, which is the part that a lot of people had questions about. So I'm going to show you how to use one mirror and the mirror, you know, the one on the wall, to get the back of the haircut, how to see that. And after we get this front line tapped in, we'll show you how to do the back. So now that we got everything how we want it, we're applying a lighter coat of holding spray just to hold those fibers down. But if you don't want to get fibers unstuck, that's why we did it at the end, because sometimes they get stuck to the holding spray ahead of time. I just don't personally like that. So the two most important parts about doing the back of your edge up are going to be, one, your hand position with your offhand for the mirror, and also letting your trimmers do the work. So you just want to put the trimmers in place to do what they need to do when you're edging up the back, because it does not have to be a push, it just has to be a very light touch and pull away from that line. In order to make a straight line, you need to switch hands and just really let the trimmers do their work. So this is my offhand, my left hand we're using on this side. My biggest recommendation for this part is not rushing the process. So take the time to make sure the trimmers are where they need to be and just let them fall into place. So really with the back, it's just making sure that you can see in the mirror with your offhand and then letting the trimmers get into place and do what they do. So however you have to put your arm, just take your time. That's the most important part. Just like, as long as you don't get frustrated with yourself, you should be good, and however long it takes, it'll take you that long until you get a little bit better. So one thing that I often see people do is forget that they have to have the trimmers up at an angle when they're going around these corners. If you don't have the clippers up at an angle, or the trimmers up at an angle, you will cut lines into your haircut that you do not want to cut. So if you see, I always have the trimmer tilted, the blade of it tilted up at an angle so that only a couple of the teeth actually come in contact with the hair or the skin. So just keep that in mind when you're going around the ears. You're going to use your mirror the same way and then just connect the line. So you got the line that you started in front and the line that's coming from the back that you want to put together with the trimmer. So once you get the front of the edge up and the back of the edge up connected around the ears, you're pretty much good to go. So thank you for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you're into haircutting videos. If you are into hair care, go ahead and subscribe. But let me know what you think down in the comments, and thank you again for watching.